Brian, there are many things wrong with America, but right now, my number one most pressing concern is parlay culture. I don't know why this is the way that it is, but my Twitter for you, when I ever decide I want to poison my brain and go to it, is nothing but parlay culture. I get these fake cappers, these dub club people, then the people complaining about the dub club people, then the people complaining about the people complaining about the pick sellers. And what I need to know, is there a remedy for parlay culture, or is parlay culture so endemic to our society that it will in fact never be solved?
Yeah, no, there's no solution to this one. I don't think, Davis. I think I heard a supercut. This is similar, but I heard a supercut on this podcast of this TikTok supercut intro, and it was my nutritionist father, the highest paid nutritionist in New York, told me this, but no one will believe me. That's the little like thumbnail catchphrase. And it's a supercut of like 100 different TikTokers doing the same exact, like almost verbatim. But they would switch it. Like, my nutritionist father in LA gave me this one topic, but no one will believe me. My nutritionist father in Europe, and they know it's hitting the algorithm just right and gets clicks or whatever, and they do not give a shit and they want those clicks. I think parlay culture is fairly similar to that. And I think there's just a bunch of dummies. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Well, yes. Look, certainly there are many, many dummies. But my issue is I'm like, there are many other ways to get rich. There are many other ways in America, in the Western world, to get rich. There are even better scams. I mean, there are far better scammy, gross parts of American culture to get involved with than betting 19-leg same-game parlays. Like, just the whole... I'm sure... Well, actually, maybe you haven't experienced this because you don't really play niche sports, but like if I'm trying to find injury information for like a college football game or a soccer game, I won't be able to find Aaron Sorensen's injury status. What I'll find is people complaining about this person's injury, not ruining their parlay, Brian, ruining their lay. They call it lay, L-A-Y. This guy's injury ruined my lay.
What's a lay?
Like they won't even say parlay, they just say lay.
Oh my, I got it. Oh,
and there's all kinds of verbiage like this. You know, they do this thing called watering it down. Like, I gave out in my dub club, I gave out this 9-leg same game parlay, but the watered down, so it might be like LeBron for 32 points, Curry for 5 made threes, and Jackson Hayes for 9 rebounds. But the watered down version is LeBron for 20 points, Curry for 3 made threes, and Jackson Hayes for 6 rebounds. The watered down version always hits. That's what they say. It's truly some of the most, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of insane video game culture, kind of, in a way, just like how stupid and low IQ all of these people are. But obviously this intersects with my business, with my life, because, you know, sports and fantasy sports and gambling, and, you know, these people are on Underdog. You know, these people use Underdog, and it just frankly drives me up a goddamn wall, Brian. It's so annoying.
I'm trying to think like where this goes. I do think it's all connected to what I was talking about with like the TikTok supercut of people stealing the nutritionist father thing. Like what do they do, if anything, about this sort of algorithm chasing behavior? The answer should probably be they shouldn't really do anything, honestly. Like,
I mean, I think you and I can both agree sports gambling probably net bad. Like, actually, if the nanny state was going to make something illegal that you frankly could not push back against, What is the argument outside of a libertarian framework of like sports betting should definitely be legal? Like this is definitely a net good. We should definitely have this in our society.
Yeah, this is our topic of next week's real LOLZ, by the way. So,
okay, let's not go too deep into.
No, yeah, we won't go too deep into it. But since you said libertarian, I don't think you actually. I'm not trusting your view of what the libertarian answer is. The libertarian
that's very wise of you to know.
The libertarian answer would be the reason you legalize gambling is because it's just overall worse outcome than making it illegal, keeping it in the dark market, empowering mobs to do this behavior. People are going to do it anyways, things like that. I think that would be the strongest, like, libertarian leaning argument, more so than just the, personal autonomy people, which isn't even just libertarian really. Just like it's my body, my choice, same shit.
Oh, you know what? This actually is another thing that I wanted to bring up with you, because you guys were talking about this last week on LOLZ. You were saying, why should it be illegal? What crime would a player be committing by throwing a game? Mm-hmm. And I started to think about it, and I'm like, well, obviously they're defrauding people, right? But you're only defrauding people if sports betting is legal. So what was the argument for?
Yeah, but no, even there, like let's say me and you play basketball today, and then it turns out like after the game, McCaffrey and whoever else in chat bet on us. Like, how does that have anything to do with us?
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but
it's not fraud. We're not. And then I go, oh, by the way, you shouldn't have bet on me. I was tanking the whole time because I had to go do a podcast. So I was just missing shots on purpose. I wanted Davis to win. He wanted me to play. I had to do it.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit? It's a sport. Like, this is what I understand when you bring in the sports betting, it gets closer to like the markets, like insider trading and stuff. I know maybe it's not directly insider trading like you were saying, but like even if it was, that's not the aspect I was talking about. I'm talking about the aspect only of who cares what happens in these child's games that adults are playing. Like, who cares if they tank or whatever? Like, it has Congress should not be investigating it.
Oh, well,
how about this? Well, how about this? Can we start with this? Do you think Congress should have investigated the steroid era, like they did, and bring these guys up to testify and embarrass them and threaten legislation?
So I guess I have a hard time answering that, because I would say steroids were a big issue in baseball because it was not applied universally. Some guys were cheating and some guys were not cheating. And if steroids are legal for everyone, and it's well known, pitchers can use it, your 9-hole hitter can use it, your 210 batting shortstop is also on juice, and you're entering into this as an adult with full understanding of what you're doing, absolutely, 100%. I think that that would have been totally fine. Now, I don't know what obviously the body to step in should have been Major League Baseball. Like, Major League Baseball should have stepped in and either shut it down, said steroids are good to go, everyone can use steroids. Like, the way it works in soccer is there's a world governing body. FIFA is insanely corrupt and commits crimes on crimes on crimes. Like, actually one of the most criminal organizations on the planet, really. They would make the mafia
like
blood.
The Kuwait thing was ridiculous, but yeah, go ahead.
But they do handle blood doping and steroids, and they dole out suspensions, and they're in charge of it, and they're in agreement with FIFPro, which is basically like the worldwide organization for it's basically like a players union. And you do get suspended for using steroids. If you get caught, you get suspended from any league that is a FIFA competition. So there just the issue is there is the oversight body in this country is the federal government. That's the only oversight body there is.
Well, let's say that's true. Well, I mean, the federal government is just an oversight body of all of us. And so like it's not really like like they could do whatever they want. They're the federal government. Yeah, I get it, but they're not an official they're not an official oversight body. And my argument is they should not be involved in any more than they are in the WWE's results. It's all fucking stupid. Who cares? Like even if the NBA it turned out was actually all scripted, or the NFL, whatever. Who cares? It actually was. It's just like the WWE. Who gives a shit? Let's leave gambling out for a second. Like why would the federal government get involved in that? A stupid sport. Why would they be involved at all?
Well, so if you think about it, it's like that is these people's jobs, you know, and that's the oversight committee for labor in this country is the federal government as well, right?
Yeah, that is labor negotiations and workplace safety and stuff like that. It has nothing to do. This isn't just because this is like the Clommer's Carl's argument. This is just because there's a labor oversight agency does not mean that they can get involved in any business as they want at any moment because you have labor.
Well, I think in maybe theoretically, but in practice,
and even if so, I'm making the claim that they shouldn't. Because it's just a stupid kids game that adults are playing. Who cares if they cheat? Who cares if they rig? It's like there's no difference between the Harlem Globetrotters, WWE, and the NBA. Who cares? So here's what should happen: if the NBA turns out it's all rigged, Jordan, it was all phony. They made Jordan a big time star on purpose. You should go like, oh, I don't like the NBA anymore, and that's it. And the NBA folds. Why would the federal government go in there and like Nate Silver and who was the guy? Why can I think of I said Nate Silver, Adam Silver. Because I don't know if you saw this. This is more a TakeCast topic, but 538 shut down. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. I did see that.
Why can I not? Daniel Stern, right? Who was the one?
David Stern.
Daniel Stern's the actor who was in Home Alone. Anyways, yeah, and arrest these guys. Like, what? It's just a stupid game. Well, I mean, this was when it happened with the MLB back in the day. I was like, because my beloved Mark McGwire got made a fool of. I was a Bash Bros, loved the Bash Brothers as a kid. I'm like, why are they doing that? Why are they having these Rafael Palmeiro testifying? This dumb jock with an IQ of probably 89 and embarrass him. All he knows is me swing bat,
So I guess this would be the significant pushback that I would have for you, because you view sports as a silly game, and also because gambling on it is part of your profession. You're viewing it as inherently different than railroad workers. You're viewing it as inherently different than just any other industry that operates inside the territory of the United States. And I would just say it isn't. If there was widespread corruption, cheating, manipulation. Now, again, I'm taking this from a very left-leaning perspective where I view the job of government as a place where people come together to solve problems. You can laugh at that all you want, but I'm just saying that that's the perspective. It would, in that role, be the federal government's job to solve that. You're just saying because it's this dumb game, who cares who wins or loses? Whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm saying that you have to view sports as inherently different than plumbing to arrive there.
No, I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing. I don't think it's just a business, and who cares? Like, they wouldn't be involved in all sorts of similar industries if this were the case. Like, why not get involved with the Globetrotters? Why not bring them up and be like, I think you're fixing these games. I don't think the Generals are even trying.
Because that's honesty in marketing. You are aware the audience and
they don't even market that this is rigged. You just know it.
I think you'd have a
hard
time.
And by the way, the NBA, you're just buying a ticket to a game. It's not like, listen, this is 100% real. And if there's any, I'm like, they're entertained. Like they put themselves down like entertainment, some classification, so they can't be sued for like some specifically stuff like this.
Well, good. Why is that real Windhorst? A real Windhorst situation there.
But I mean, if you just think of like the amount of like actual fraud.
Investigate the Globetrotters.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. It's like, bring up the Hulkster, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Be like, yeah, I don't know if you guys are legitimately fighting here. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous waste of time. And even so, let's say I grant you that like this is actually under their purview, and it's just like financial fraud or something like that. I'm making the claim it shouldn't be. Like it, I'm saying this is a stupid kids game, that adults are playing. Now, listen, it can be super entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I like sports, blah, blah, blah. But it's
so what I'm saying is that throwing a basketball game is no different than doing like the shittiest job possible on a home repair, using the shittiest equipment, way overcharging, and doing like basically like doing a subpar job and passing it off is okay. I'm saying they're not the same thing, but equivalent legal territories. I'd actually love, by the way, for like a real lawyer to be asked this question, because I would guess, I don't know shit about law. I mean, I barely know anything about anything, but I would guess there are clear legal cases, precedents you could set on why it's not insider trading at all, but why there are clear laws that you're breaking by doing this. I would guess.
They're actually, we could probably ask ChatGPT to get to the bottom of this.
All right, let's do it. I will pull it up and I will ask ChatGPT.
But even if the law says you cannot rig an NBA game under penalty of death, I'm saying like that is wrong. Like who cares? It's just a game. And again, I didn't, not again, but to your point of the plumbing analogy, they're not the same. In my opinion, then that's not even close. Like someone providing you a service in your home to fix something that you need and then not doing the job and cashing the check.
So ChatGPT makes a point that I would not have thought of. Clearly, in all of these guys' contracts, it says, you have to try your best. You can't purposely. Well, so then it becomes a contract dispute.
That's between the NBA. That would be a civil suit between the NBA and the player, right, which I would be totally fine with, regardless of business. Like the NBA, plumbing, who gives a shit? But definitely not Congress.
Well, sure. I guess perhaps not Congress, but there would be, because the thing is with Western law, it is so fucking complicated, man. I mean, as anyone who has ever spent any meaningful time in a court case, reading about court, like there are so many precedents and things like, law, I think for simpletons such as myself, we tend to think like, oh, law is really simple and either you commit fraud or you commit racketeering, you do whatever. And it's like, actually, no, there's X, Y, and Z that you didn't think about. And, frankly, I'm sure you have some knowledge of this just from being a real liberty bro. Like, I feel like that's like a labyrinthian legal system is like the opposite of a liberty bro perspective. But like Western law is just crazy. I mean, there are tomes and tomes and tomes of laws and cases and things to build upon.
Yeah. I've seen lawyers make the case of like using case law to determine like as this valuable resource that we have in this country. That's like, well, we've had all these adjudications. Let's utilize this information, which makes sense to me. I agree. I think it's overly complicated. I mean, my biggest problem is the civil court system is that no one uses it. No normal people using it. Anyone in chat or, ask yourself or anyone how many times do they successfully use the civil court system to sue like a former employer or some company that screwed them over? And the answer is almost always 0 or 1.
Yeah.
It's very rarely 1.
Sounds like Charlie discussing bird law. So basically, just a quick Chat GPT search said a lot of it would just be about just like basic fraud laws that exist, just like that don't have anything to do with illegal or even sports gambling, but just in general, just basic fraud.
And then that would be like a class action lawsuit or something. Then,
sure,
it wouldn't be, roll fucking Mark McGuire up to Congress. I know that was all for show, but it's still that moment is stuck in my head of like, why are they bringing these people up in front of Congress for doing roids? Like when Canseco's, shooting up McGuire's ass in the Coliseum's bathroom, trying to hide it from LaRussa. I wonder if they're going to drag us in front of Congress because we're doing this.
Do you think steroids should be legal in sports?
Yes.
Like, that's kind of what I think too, because if you enter into the moral agreement that this is basically gladiatorial combat for entertainment, then why, and especially because a lot of what we know now is that steroids of course have their downsides, but like a lot of people who are not professional athletes use steroids, and like normal guys, just like normal guys you see on your block, take TRT now. It's like pretty widely prescribed. Why should, if Patrick Mahomes' ankle hurt, why should he not be allowed to take steroids? If he so chooses.
He 100% should. This is really similar to the should gambling be legal argument from this, like the Liberty angle is like, yeah, well, when you make it illegal, like in the 80s, and McGuire and Canseco have to hide in the bathroom and get the bunk, juice from God knows where. Although Jose, I'm sure, knows exactly where to get the good stuff, if anyone knows. But your average Joe at your local gym, well, it's gonna cause a lot of health problems. They're gonna do it anyways. And also there was probably, I imagine it was a small percentage, but a percentage of MLB players who had no idea they were competing against these juiced up guys. That has to be like an under like 3%. These like how
probably a lot of them knew it was happening and they were scared. They were scared to take steroids because of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. But like again, if you make it legal, then they know like, okay, we know everyone who's on it. I could talk to the team doctor about this and learn and decide for myself whether I want to do this or retire if I don't think I can compete at that level. And it's like what's his name? Lance Armstrong. There's like so many variations too that we don't even know of.
Key point here. Steroids don't make you better at sports. Reshi says if steroids were legal in sports, then everyone would have to use them and they can be unhealthy. Steroids are not going to turn Kelly Oubre into a third-team All-NBA player. Steroids are not going to make Bryce Young be as good as Patrick Mahomes. Steroids would not... I mean, the baseball example, obviously, is... guess who was really fucking good before he started using steroids? Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds had a Hall of Fame career before he started taking steroids.
Clemens
was
a Hall of Famer before he started doing roids.
Steroids would not turn Jordan Walker into a major league, like an all-star level outfielder.
But I listen. I agree with your general statement, but yeah, I've been fascinated with this topic for a while. So bring this up. Actually, I guess I can bring it up because normally I have dreams. I don't have the present option. Now let's take a gander here at our buddy. Let's see, is this sharing properly? Oh no, I got it. There you go.
Benito Santiago.
Do you remember him? He was a little before your time.
No, I have no idea who this man is.
Really? Because he played until he was 40. So I figured you might remember a little bit. Yeah, so he was a multiple time Gold Glove winner.
Okay.
Let me show you his. Is this mine? Does this show his minors? Okay, it shows his minors. Okay.
17 home runs, 18 home runs.
Maybe it wasn't Benito.
No, he gets on the juice at age 31 and hits 31 home runs.
Yeah, okay, because this is showing his minor league stats. I'll have better ones, but let's hide the minor league stats. Hide minors. Yeah, he, 10, 10, 11, 11, 10, 13. What year do you think old Benito?
But he really, so he just did, he did steroids for 1 year.
You know what? I'm having like a Berenstein Bears moment here.
Yeah.
This one's a better one. Let's do
Brian Anderson.
Oh, wrong one. Who was the Orioles outfielder? Wasn't it Brian Anderson? No.
No, that's a Marlins guy. Brady Anderson.
Brady Anderson. Who got that?
Yeah. Mr. The What is calling out 1988 to that. I mean, that is a long time. Lefty outfielder.
look at these numbers. 4. Now his ABs were lower. So when he got 749 plate appearances, he did jack it up to 220.
But then the random 50 homer season.
What happened here? And so like if you read all the old baseball almanacs, Bill James stuff,
yeah.
He does a little research like he always does, and baseball players peaked at 26.
Yeah,
so 26 is your most powerful year, etc. That all changed come this, and then this is also the juice era, right? Late 90s.
Yes,
and he just cranks out 50. Who was the next one?
What's interesting is baseball is a very skilled sport. Like it obviously it makes you stronger. Clearly that the research on that is like very, very clear that taking steroids makes you much stronger. You can gain even an experienced athlete can gain like 10 pounds of muscle in a year. If someone who's lifting really heavy weights who takes steroids can gain 5 pounds of muscle in a month. Like you can get completely jacked, but I wouldn't think it would make hitting a fastball all that much easier. You know what I mean?
Well,
hitting a fastball just seems insane.
Orangutan here, I think this is a bad example. This is more like what Davis is saying. Ryan Braun was really good.
Yes.
Either way,
and he needed it. The reason why he started taking steroids was because he just kept getting hurt. He was sick of getting hurt.
Oh, and which is like a shame that he didn't have that option. Here's a decent one that I've remembered back from the A's days.
Do you know about the Mike Trout steroid conspiracy?
Mike Trout. He does look like he does roids, doesn't he? Because he just started doing it young, like A-Rod. But look at these numbers, right? 500 ABs, 4.444, 5.244, and then miraculously at age 36, age 35, just starts jacking home runs.
I don't know, man. I feel like baseball was better. I just to me.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, give me
the juice.
Give me a random 56-year-old dude hitting 56 dingers. I love that. Yeah, I want that in my baseball.
Walking 130 times too. Billy Ball before Billy Ball.
Basically, there's been these unsubstantiated rumors that Mike Trout is allowed to take steroids because he has he basically has an autoimmune disorder or something, and he's legally prescribed HGH. Now, there's never been any big reporting on this. It's basically just been a baseball Twitter rumor for the entirety of his career that he's got that huge neck and the big shoulders. The trap muscles are always the giveaway of a steroid user.
And we're still talking about Trout here?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's
it does look
probably
like
not
it,
true.
I mean, so some guys, and this is another shame too of like making it this way, is you never really know.
That's true. I mean,
never
I would
really know. And it sucks for the guys who are just like, hey, man, I'm just naturally jacked. Sorry.
I mean, I would guess he probably is not on steroids, because if he was on steroids, he wouldn't be chronically injured for the last 3 years. I mean, he hasn't played a full season in 4 years, Mike Trout.
Holy cow, you're right. I'm looking at his stats. Yeah, for sure though. You could have so that he got his first season when he was 19. You could have jacked me full of the best steroids ever created when I was 19. I was not hitting 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It wasn't happening. To your point. But like when you do juice up some of these guys like Tony Phillips I just showed, and instead of retiring, this was an argument I had back in the day too, is like it's not fair to the younger players. So like if you're a fringe player who's like on the 40-man roster, maybe you make it, maybe you don't, and Tony Phillips starts juicing, well, instead of retiring, Tony Phillips is hitting 27 homers with 130 walks.
So we should make it that all players over the age of 35, you make it to 35, you stay there, then you're allowed to use steroids. Any sport, you make it to 35, then you're allowed to juice.
Well, I would say it was unfair for the 20-year-old guy, but yeah, I mean, I think they should just be whatever. If you want to juice away. But I mean,
there's always been rumors that LeBron is on steroids.
Yeah, again, I guess there was guys in my high school who were on roids. Was that
there are
or you went to a real small school, right?
No, 1,000 people, 1,200 people. Okay. Maybe that's small for you, but
no, that's
there are at my gym that I go to, there are probably 5-10 guys, something like that, who are on something, SARMs, TRT, some variation.
Yeah, but I'm talking about LeBron was pro at 18, so he had to be juicing at like 15 or something, ridiculous. But there actually is people who do that.
He'd be fucked up. If he was on roids then and still on roids now, he'd have serious health issues.
Maybe. I think it's just the testosterone. Wouldn't his testosterone be fucked up?
Which would then harm his ability to have children, and I believe he has 3. Like, I know that's
low. I would imagine he could have more than that.
That's a big thing I know from being in like following the bodybuilding stuff, is a lot of those guys either never become fathers or have a really hard time having children, because the combination of low body fat and chronic steroid use basically is like a lock to make you sterile. If you maintain sub 10% body fat and you're taking steroids, your hormones and your insides just like functionally stop working properly.
Yeah, I imagine the body fat is like really low, like unhealthy.
What do you think? LeBron's probably 12% body fat, maybe. Maybe not anymore, but I mean, Miami LeBron was probably 8% body fat, or
probably.
Something.
But I bet he was natural. If I had to guess, I would say his was all natural. Yes. He just sometimes their freaks happen.
Okay, I had something that's actually more of a take cast topic, so we'll
save it then.
Yeah, I'll save that. There is a good spot, because the thumbnail here is I take no pleasure in it. Do you think that DFS for kids who are like 18 right now, like what do you think signups on the DFS side for DraftKings is like signups now versus even 5 years ago? How many signups, not on the sports book? They're probably very happy with what they're accomplishing on the sports book side, but what do you think new accounts on the daily fantasy side versus the sports book side right now?
Are we talking young people only, or just
both? Young people, all people. How do you think that's segmented?
Yeah, I because that's what got me piqued my interest when you were saying that, is like I think young people There's two things. I think one, it's less popular. This is just my guess. Who knows what the numbers show?
I don't know one person in my real life, including my close personal friends, who like know what my job is and what I do, who have played a salary cap DFS entry in the last year.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me. So I think it's less popular. There's less marketing. That's the biggest thing. I think that like when I've already said this, but I'll say it again. I was wrong on. I didn't think sports betting would hurt DFS as much as it did. I think it definitely has lowered the interest level or whatever use of DFS more so than I thought it would. But I think that's mainly because they stopped marketing it and they're just pumping. They're pumping the lays. They're going, they want those lays going. So I figured there'd be some more crossover of the Lays bros playing some DFS than there is. So I think it is less popular. It's less marketed. And also, I mentioned this on LOLZ like a month or two ago. Because I was watching Madden. I've been watching some Madden streamers. And the guy said, this Maze guy was his Madden streamer. He's really entertaining. And he goes, DFS, you can't beat it. And he knew a decent amount about betting. Like he knows a lot more than your average parlay bro. Yeah. And he goes, DFS is just too hard to beat. There's, it's too efficient. There's so many pros. I was like, how the hell does he know that? Like, he's just like a Madden bro. And I'm like, shit, like if this is what people think, this is the exact opposite of what DraftKings should be promoting. Is you want DFS to be closely associated with poker as possible. Like the not poker like the game, but like the idea that it's a meme in American culture, world culture, that poker is a skill game. Yeah. Like you're not going to kill that. Like that's been a meme for 50 years, 100. That's the meme you want for DFS. And I think that is starting to go away too among young people. They just think, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And maybe Sims was part of like not helping that at all.
If it's a skill game, that is terrible marketing. Because these kids are fucking dumb. They don't want to learn a skill game. They want to hit a 19 leg same game part. A skill game is the worst way to market it. No one wants to learn the skills needed for a skill game.
Maybe with the new generation, if I beat enough kids in Madden, maybe that mentality.
Like, think about when's the last time you played live poker?
It's been a minute.
So I played live this most recent summer. I played 1-3 at a local whatever. Sure. I was the youngest person, not at my table, in the whole room. I think they had 5 games going. I was the youngest person in the room the whole time by about, I would guess 10 years, maybe more. It's hard to say. You're in a card room. Finally, a young kid did show up. He was probably in college. And he was out in we were playing 1-3. He had a stack. I think he was short stacked, and he played 3 hands, got all in, lost, got up and left. I think here's a good nuclear take.
I thought live poker was like doing game busters.
I assume live poker is doing okay because gambling is so popular right now, but not amongst really young people. Really young people don't even leave the house, Brian. They would be more likely to play on their phone. Maybe they would play on their phone, but they're not going to a casino. Young people are ordering DoorDash and doing lays.
So I want to talk about this, but like I mean, maybe then like there's no hope, right? If that's true, then there's no hope anyways. I would say, I guess then market it as a gambling game, but like I don't know. I think like blackjack and poker and like games where you could build this mythos, I should say rather, of like keeping the game relevant and popular for generations. And I would say that's something that DFS needs to happen. I mean, you could do both. I mean, you can market it as a gambling game to young people and skill to older people. I don't know, but historical anomalies talks about so Michael Lewis, I'm assuming the writer, right, of Billy Ball, or whatever the hell it was called,
Moneyball.
That's Michael Lewis. He's doing a podcast with Rufus about the effects of sports betting on the youth. Something like 70% of college males, because this is how we kind of started the conversation, was like, should gambling even be legal at all? And I think there's definitely an argument to be made that it shouldn't be legal at all. But the I was kind of laugh about these studies. I know it's just legal here, but like there is, all you have to do is Google, and maybe they do. I haven't listened to the podcast. Maybe I should pick it up. But like you could just Google gambling studies, and there's been tons of them. This is like this during COVID, when they were like, we just did a mask study and you have to wear masks. It's like, there's never been mask studies before on these airborne viruses, or haven't we done like 1 million mask studies on all sorts of things for decades? Like, so like you could, same thing with gambling. It's like, it's been legal in England forever, in other countries. Like there's studies fucking everywhere. And but they're really starting to like,
you know what? So speaking of parlay culture, it's actually cool the way, I don't know, cool would be depending on the eye of the beholder, the way it works in specific, I guess not English, British society, where they effectively treat it as lost money. Like just culturally, they're like, oh yeah, I put a tenner on both teams to score and Crawley Town to win on the Asian handicap line. They call them like bet builders and stuff like that. But like, it's not sold as you can win at this. You know, it's not marketed as, you know, like you can change the fortunes of your life this way. It's like, yeah, it's like going to the movies, which is what Jason Robbins and like these guys have said before, like testifying in court cases and things, but it just doesn't work and I think it's almost like maybe like a uniquely American mindset where it's like, oh no, I don't put money into something to lose it. I only put money into something to bring more money back to myself. But I just don't think it'll ever happen like that here.
But isn't that kind of contradicting what you just said earlier about the young people like gambling?
They like gambling if they think they can win.
Well, I mean, you can win in Europe too. I think it's all just entertainment, and the way people interpret the entertainment for themselves is kind of on an individual level. You know, like maybe some Europeans think of it as a super long shot. I'm wasting $10, and Americans think of it as they have a better shot than they do, or something.
American youth are hyper cynical, and they think real life is rigged, so they're wired for the make it all back on one bet style parlay, 100%.
Well, and this is all take cast topics kind of, but like this also has to do with inflation and the economy, and when in people saving, right? Like the American saver is now the American risk taking, the gambler, like Robin Hood and meme tokens and so like.
I mean, look, DraftKings.
Why would you save when your money's going to be worth zero in 10 years?
Okay, DraftKings did NFTs. They did Rainmakers. Why did DraftKings not do a meme coin? Why did we not have a ticker king or ticker DK whatever? Why was there not? That seems crazy to me. I would have thought for sure they would have gotten in the meme coin streets.
I'm trying to think if that was more risky than Rainmakers. Maybe Rainmakers was more risky than doing a DK coin.
Oh, Rainmakers is way more risky because
like going to jail risky, I'm saying.
Yes, because Rainmakers attempted to circumvent a well-known law in United States history. What is it? The Howey test, right? That's what it's called. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But meme coins, there's not really. What would you even point to in American finance law to try and define a meme coin? Like it's don't get me wrong, it's clearly criminal behavior. Any of these people who did, like, it's clearly crime. But I think and also, when your crime is that big, you have to find someone willing to prosecute you and charge you. Who the fuck wants to prosecute Dave Portnoy for continually stealing money? You'd have to.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure he's like pretty. I see this. This is one of those things where I don't know enough about. I don't follow him. I follow him on Twitter. Like I don't listen to any Barstool stuff. But it seems like the stuff I see on Twitter, like he posts, "I'm never selling this. This is when I'm going to buy this." Like he's very transparent about it. I think like if it's gonna happen, like that's
but it's all lying. Like he says I'm not gonna sell it.
Well, if that's all lying, then that's right. But again, like this, the funny thing is all this stuff is actually what they should be worrying about, not Mark McGuire or even the Terry Rozier type of shit. Like who gives a shit if Terry Rozier is trying to get laid and fucking, misses a couple buckets or something? Who cares? Like, go after these guys who are actually committing huge financial fraud against hundreds of thousands of people.
The real question is how do we get meme coin users signed up for Run the Sims?
You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't. Unless you also want to participate in the scummery. I was driving back to do the show, and there was a couple people on the side of the street picking up garbage, like the government employees. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, I wonder if they're actually like community service. And it reminded me of a conversation we had about, it's related to this topic about Sam Bankman-Fried. And I was telling you, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on it now, but I was telling you, like, when he was going to jail, it's like, it just seems like cruel and unusual to send this autistic dude into federal pound me in the ass prison. Like, I get he screwed over a lot of people. And ironically, if he could have just held out another 6 months or 8 months, he would have made all that money back because it went up so much. But it doesn't matter.
If he could have held out another 4 years, he probably could have gotten a cabinet position.
He'd be like Bill Gates or something, probably. Yeah, he would be like seen as like the.
If he could have kept the crime up for when.
And now he's someone's bitch.
That crime all happened in 2021, 2022, right? So if he could have kept it up for 2 more years, he could have been in charge of the strategic crypto reserve for the United States federal government. Who would have been more well positioned than SBF to get in Don's good graces?
Well, no, because he was doing more democratic doing than he was playing. He thought he put his cards in. Sides. He played both sides for sure, but he put more of his cards in. He thought the
party that was in power.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
And I think also it was a long-term play. I think he thought they were going to win. But I don't think this guy has any morals or anything. It's hard to defend a guy like this, who obviously committed crime. It makes no sense to me that, where is he in jail? California? Like,
I have no idea.
In Illinois,
you're getting absolutely no sympathy for me on this one, because what he did is worse than most federal crimes. He ruined probably millions of people's lives, maybe hundreds of thousands, but my opinion would be that large scale financial crime like that is worse than just like killing someone in cold blood. Like he should like, I would be like, if you defraud millions of people and because if you think about it, what is stealing money from someone? Stealing money from someone is stealing their time. You steal their time, you steal their life. So he stole parts of millions of people's lives, knowingly and on purpose, knew that he was committing these crimes. I think I don't believe the state should have the right to kill someone, but he should be in a terrible place for a long time.
Well, I mean, I don't know about making the comparison of murder in financial crime, but making these moral claims, like, is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, so, like, you don't think they should kill him, but it's okay to, like, you know, be raped for 30 years?
I mean, I don't think that should be his prescription.
Like, wouldn't killing him be actually more moral?
Yeah, I mean, then that is that's kind of ethics 101. I kind of think we're above entry level.
Yeah, but seriously, why are you? It's interesting to me. Why are you opposed to the death penalty, but you're for mass rape?
I'm against the death penalty because I don't think that the state should have the right to take a life.
But they should have a right to keep you in solitary confinement or in prison with known rapists.
I think there's a real difference there between highfalutin moral philosophy and
it's not even complicated. It's not high. This is what would you agree this happens in prisons by a lot according to the FBI's numbers?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's not complicated. It's not highfalutin. It's not conspiracy.
For Bankman-Fried, I want whatever.
I think there's just a little cognitive dissonance going on here, Davis. Where now I'm not saying I'm for the strongest argument against the death penalty is they get it wrong too high percentage of time.
A lot, yeah, they do get it wrong.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the cognitive dissonance comes from being someone who believes very strongly in the concept of a strong central government, dealing with the reality of a strong central government that is run very incompetently and having no faith in the central government that exists doing things properly.
Yep. But you can also oppose both of these things. You don't have to support the current system.
Well, prison and incentives and consequences for breaking the law have existed for like as long as humans have existed. So I am pro the concept of prison.
I agree. But it's important to distinct these things to get to the point I'm trying to get to, which is I don't think that for him or people like him,
you feel bad for Sam Bankman-Fried.
Well, you do too. You don't want him killed.
I don't want him killed the same way I don't want like Timothy McVeigh killed by the state.
Okay, fine. I don't want him ass raped the same way I don't want Timothy McVeigh ass raped.
So what do you want? You want Sam Bankman-Fried to like basically...
First of all, it's also we're generalizing here to like other crimes too. It doesn't have to be him, but he's a good example. It's like $80,000 a year in Illinois, like $150,000 a year in New York, California. Who knows? It's probably $200,000 a year to house him.
Yeah.
Like, why are we paying $200,000 a year to fucking house this guy? He clearly can make money. And so, like, what I was talking about when I was watching guys clean up fucking shit on the side of the road, just have him fucking clean up shit on the side of the road for the next fucking 30 years. It's way more. And then put an ankle bracelet on. That guy's not going anywhere. It looks like he barely moves. You know, have him fucking stay in his house.
You know, he had to smell so bad. You know that if you were around Sam Bankman-Fried, he had to just...
Well, then garbage cleanup is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, make him pay his debt off, use the skills. So, like, I mean, because, you know, an argument against this kind of thing is that that's slavery.
It certainly is. Yeah.
But it's like, okay.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it. But that's
like,
also
if we're going to punish these people, why not just do it in the smartest way possible?
It's a consequence of behavior. Now, what's interesting is you would really tie a liberal who's a little bit softer than me at the core up in a knot with this one, because the arguments against prisons and the 3 strikes and you're out penalties and things like that is, oh, well, a lot of the people who are in prisons are people who are economically disadvantaged, a huge, I think we're all in agreement that there is a misrepresentation of races in prison. Now, you'd probably have a very hard time getting, probably a room of 20 people would not all agree on the cause of why that would be. You'd have some racists. You'd have some
2025.
Yeah. Anyways, and I'm not here to debate any of that, but it's just very funny because obviously SBF is in prison with people who have not committed white collar crimes like him, who've committed real crazy violent crimes. And then you get into a weird ethical area where you're like, yeah, but SBF like wouldn't hurt me. Like I could be in a room,
right? He wouldn't,
SBF, and he wouldn't hurt me. So we should treat him differently because he wouldn't hurt me. And then it's like, well, I don't know if I really agree with that. I think
you would agree. I'm assuming that we should treat different prisoners, different people differently, right?
Yeah, sure, based on crime and condition or whatever,
right? And the person. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the system doesn't really allow for that.
No. This is really a liberal opinion. Honestly, this is a classic liberal opinion. It's just, this is why I'm saying you have some cognitive dissonance going on here because you hate this motherfucker and you want him to suffer.
Oh, I do. 100%. I hate him and I do want him to suffer. And there are plenty of other criminals who I don't hate and don't want to suffer. So I'm making a moral judgment that honestly I don't even really agree with.
And I think the solution, honestly, for a lot of this stuff is pretty fucking simple, if I may say so. Like the violent ones, you fucking lock them up. Yeah. The ones who aren't violent, you figure something else out. This should also be a location where these people could get education and rehabilitation and like what, like, is it only just this one, like stick them in a cage with violent people and well,
so there are like
big waste of money too.
Well, and the other thing I forgot to mention is obviously a lot of prisons in the United States are privately owned and are for profit.
Yeah, I don't care. That's a bunch of stupid commie nonsense anyways. you want it for profit. I'm telling you, working for the state. You do not want the state in charge of a facility that you have to enter into. I promise you.
You know what would have happened
to be held accountable.
You know what would have happened to SBF in a commie country? No trial, bullet through. He got
wouldn't. There would be no markets.
There'd be no There'd be no market. So he would have been. You know what? He would have been a potato farmer, and he probably would have been happy. He would have smelled.
I was going to say he would probably be leading a normal life.
And he'd probably be really happy, and he wouldn't feel the need to do a ton of.
I mean, he'd starve. It's a communist country, so he'd starve by the time he was 8 years old. But he would have been happy. But
he would have been
8 years.
If you think about it, Brian, there's this big move. Going all the way back to the starting topic amongst these, it's taking hold amongst young people, Gen Z people, and younger millennials that like just being so online and having your brain poisoned all the time is like no good. So just like log off. All I want to do is own a farm. And then, of course, then you have the people who bounce back and like, yeah, you really want to own a farm and do backbreaking labor from sun up to sundown. Guess what? If you do backbreaking labor from sun up to sundown and you are just your bed, which is a thin 6 strands of cotton, that your brain doesn't even have time to process anxiety or depression because you're so focused on survival.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're not meant to live like this. This is a strange time we live in. I feel bad for young people. Like young people get a bad fucking rap, honestly.
Well, you heard it here first. The guy who's punishing America's youth for saying glaze and ass is saying young people they have it rough.
I mean, I wish they would stop saying glaze and no cap.
Well, to your point, they basically have no choice. Either you succumb to being fully online and you're like one of your peers and you're just online all the time. All you do is rot your brain watching short form videos, or you're weird. What are your options? What if you don't want to be online and you're
fucked over financially to everything,
all the jobs are online.
The inflation, they've mortgaged, like this is an old talking point, but it's true, mortgaged their future on all these fucking wars in this 36 trillion in debt. Fucking like 10 trillion of that's from the war, something maybe not that high, but a ridiculous amount. And debt is inflation, and inflation is why everything's so fucking expensive.
Yeah,
and none of these people ever pay one price. They always get away with it. But Sam Bankman-Fried, of course, has to do you know what?
Put him in. He and George W. Bush could be cellmates.
They could be cleaning up my road right now, both of them.
I haven't committed any high level financial crimes, so they can clean. They can come in. I need some work done in my basement. They can help set up my new studio. All right, Brian,
there you go. But I'm sure SBF can work on getting computers fucking set up and shit like that. Use them for what they're worth. I don't know what George H.W. Well, he's a painter now, right? So he could teach.
George, he'd be my caddy. We go golfing.
Okay.
He'd be my caddy.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'd love to have George W. Bush as my caddy.
Yeah. All right, folks, we are going to get out of here, and we are going to go record an episode of the Takecast where if you thought that was a political conversation, you have absolutely no idea.
We're paywalling this, right? Are we paywalling?
No.
So okay.
It's going to be out. It's going to be out this afternoon, and it's on YouTube, and it's not paywalled. It'll be like the one we did after the election where we kind of have to watch what we say. So we're going to go do that right now. Thank you for watching Fake LOLZ.
And we'll do one more announcement. We're going to have a PGA show coming soon. We don't know when.
Yeah. So make sure that you're signed up over at runthesims.com. Promo code Endgame gets you 10% off for life. Seems misguided that we have allowed that, but promo code Endgame, 10% off for life if you sign up with it over at Run the Sims.